Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have to admit, I wasn't planning on speaking, but I was just kind of flabbergasted, hearing some of the comments and just kind of flummoxed at the amount of deference and the amount of latitude that we're giving to people who, by definition in this bill, are people who are not duly authorized to be here. We've heard some pretty harsh statements, like targeting the immigrant community. Someone said earlier about, they talked about being cruelly sent to Martha's Vineyard. And, I don't know who's responsible for the Tourist Development Center in Martha's Vineyard, but they definitely have some work to do if someone can actually make that statement with a straight face. Because I'm going to tell you a cruel story about an immigrant. I think it's cruel. I know an immigrant, a young lady who wanted to come to America, to go to college, to go to university. I think it was cruel for our government to set up her interview for her student visa not before school started. They gave her the first available interview halfway through the semester. So essentially she'd have to miss half of her college. I also think it was demeaning. That was another term that was thrown out earlier. In this same story, I can tell you about something demeaning. This same young lady, when she finally did come to college in the United States and she married an American, this same lady was put through a very demeaning interview where the questions were geared towards, how do we know your marriage is not a sham? Someone, I think one of my colleagues referenced earlier, the whole thing about what does it mean to be inspected? I can tell you exactly what it means to be inspected, because this same young lady, after she got married and she wanted to stay here legally and get a green card, this same young lady was inspected, and not by just anyone, by a select list of doctors that were allowed to inspect her for a fee, I might add. I think the fee was $450. And I think there was only one doctor available in the entire state to conduct her inspection, her examination. This young lady also, when she was allowed to remain in the country, had to sign affidavits and documentation to say that she would never be a public burden in this country, that she pledged to not end up on public benefits. Now, to me, that's a story that's cruel, that's demeaning, that's dehumanizing. But what I am describing, that is the story of my wife who went through the immigration process legally. So for someone like me to sit here and hear all of this deference and all of this latitude and all this sympathy for people who skipped the process, they didn't do any of that. They did not apply for a visa. They did not go through an interview. They did not go through an examination. I can certainly understand how people want to embrace immigrants, and we all embrace immigrants. But let's be very clear. There is a difference between doing things the right way and the legal way and skipping the process altogether and going about it through an illegal manner. As someone who has firsthand knowledge of our immigration system, I applaud you for having the courage to come forward with this bill and correct a lot of wrongs. And I stand with you 100%, and I'm in full support of your bill.